How do you get better at fantasy football? You learn from your mistakes and don't let them happen year after year after year. It doesn't matter if you're new to this game or a seasoned vet who's been playing for decades. Every year, everyone makes mistakes. But this offseason, here are 10 mistakes that you don't want to make. Now, these are in no specific order. They're all important here this offseason. The first one, avoiding rookie hype. I swear, by this time of the year, I've heard of like 97 players that analysts all over the place believe are the next big thing. Just stop it. Stop believing rookie hype when it comes to all of these players. Sure, we're going to have a few guys this upcoming NFL season that are going to pop off that are rookies. But are all of them going to pop off? No, they're not. We need to make sure that we do our homework and find the rookies that are going to be set up to succeed and given the opportunity after the NFL draft. That's what's most important. We can't go into the NFL offseason just thinking that just because they were good in college means they're going to be good in the NFL and good on my fantasy football team. A big, big difference. Don't buy into all the rookie hype. Which leads us to the next one. It's listening to hot takes on social media. I don't care if it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it may be. I can tell you this. About 90% of the content creators in the fantasy football space are all about that hot take life because they're trying to get one to stick so that they can come out and post on their social medias, I was right about so-and-so. Totally going to ignore the fact about the other 50 guys they were wrong on. They want to try to push that one to build a following. Ignore hot takes. That's not what we do over. I can't stand hot takes. That's why every one of our takes on this channel is backed up with sound reasoning, facts, numbers, film, whatever it may be, so that you, the viewer, can really see where we're coming from and we're not just throwing something out there, especially on a platform like Twitter or Instagram even, right? It's a picture, it's a few sentences. You can't get too much into such a short amount of space. You got to try to find a way to get that detailed information when you're building your conclusions because you don't want to fall for hot takes ever in fantasy football. Which will then take us to, how about falling for recency bias? Now, a lot of people assume that how a player was playing the end of 2022 is exactly how they're going to start playing in 2023, and that is not the case. There are a lot of moving parts in the NFL, a lot of players on new teams, a lot of players may have retired. Take Kenneth Walker, for instance. Don't get pissed off. I like Kenneth Walker. Calm down. But right now, he's currently running back 5 overall in the consensus. I love him. I don't know about running back 5 or so. I don't know if I want to love him that much. Dude only had 3 games last year where he finished inside the top 10 at the position, but he ended the season with 3 straight games over 100 yards rushing, and now with no Rashad Penny in town, people are just clamoring up to Kenneth Walker. Maybe a little bit too excited, right? You don't want to buy the recency bias. Make sure every single year you hit the reset button and evaluate the situation as it sits this current year. You can't always just make assumptions that how something ended last year is going to be how it starts this year. Which will lead us then to probably my favorite one here, probably one of the biggest issues. It's tuning out in the offseason. There's a lot of people each and every year that kind of wait for the season to end and then they kind of just tune out of fantasy football altogether. They need to mentally decompress. I get that. I need to do that also. But I do it for a shorter amount of time. People will do this for like 6 months, and then all of a sudden we see names pop back up in the comment section that we recognize, but we haven't seen in 8 months, and they're complaining about the performance of their fantasy football team. Maybe we should have paid attention for the last 8 months. If you want to be good at this game, if you want to get better, if you want to win more championships, if you want to be successful in sports betting or whatever it is that you're doing, you have to be around all year long. You have to live, eat, breathe this stuff and stay around. Sure, it's cool to mentally decompress sometimes, but make sure when you do so, you come back soon enough to get all the information that you need. If you need a few extra weeks, maybe a few weeks longer than most people, that's okay. Just make sure that you get our draft guide early enough in the offseason so that you have all the information you need ahead of time before you even draft your team. Right now, you can pre-order it on our website, thefantasyheadliners.com. Are already accepting pre-orders. They are flying off the virtual shelves. Plus, if you sign up for a new account with Underdog using our referral code Headliners and make the minimum deposit of only $10, you get a free draft guide along with that as well. But the next one up, how about relying on small sample sizes? A lot of people will cherry pick stats, if you know what I mean, to try to prove what they believe is a fact. It happens all the time. You see people posting things but not really giving explanations. It kind of goes back to the social media thing, right? Here's what I want you to believe, so I'm only going to show you Exhibit A, when really Exhibit B explains why Exhibit A is what it is, right? And a lot of times, most people don't get that. We don't ever want to come on here and just say, you need to be doing this, or you should be doing this, right? That's why we try to do our best to give you an opinion and back it up with facts and sound reasoning. Plus, a lot of times in the offseason, you'll see clips of players working out. One that really comes to mind was last offseason, probably a little bit like a month or so from now. I don't remember exactly when it came out, but there was a workout video of Jamison Williams, and people got pumped up and saying, this dude is going to be ready for 2022. They saw like a 20-second clip of the guy doing some high knees somewhere, and they made that conclusion. Don't do that. Very small sample size. You got to look at the big picture. How about making final decisions early in the offseason? You would be absolutely shocked if you saw how many people in our comments have already told us who they're going to draft in 2023. A lot can change here in the next few months. Don't be going out there and making final decisions just yet. The NFL draft always shakes things up. You need to make sure that as the offseason progresses, you're always constantly paying attention once again so that you know when we get to draft season exactly what is the best possible case scenario for all these players, and that you're not just relying on what you felt back in March, April, or May. But what about for all you Dynasty players? How about selling high? I don't get this in Dynasty. I love playing Dynasty, but the purpose of the game is to build a great team year after year after year. I don't know why people continually try to, do whatever they can to get a great player on their team, and then once they have said great player, they're trying to trade him for future draft picks. I don't just care about winning in the future. I still want to win now. I'm not worried about draft picks for 2 or 3 years from now. A lot can change. We saw that. Look at Tua. Remember Tua back when he was at Alabama for a long time was the #1 overall quarterback, then had that horrific hip injury. Totally changed things up, right? You can't just all of a sudden count on things down the road. So when you want to sell someone high, especially for future picks, to me, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Sure, you want to have some youth on your team so that you're all of a sudden not having all your players, bottom out at the exacts. I get that. But it seems in the Dynasty landscape, too many times people are trying to trade away great assets for future unknowns, and that is a huge, huge mistake. But now as we head into the season of mock drafts, how about not mock drafting the same way every time? I'll see screenshots all the time. What do you think about this team I just drafted? And then I'll see it again, and it's got a lot of the same players. Remember, the purpose of mock drafting is to find different scenarios. Because if you always mock from the same spot with the same players and you find a team you like, congratulations. You've mock drafted a great team, probably against a computer in some instances, but that does not mean that's how your draft in real life is going to go. You need to do it from each and every spot. You need to also do it with different players each and every time you mock draft. Put it all out on paper. See what you like. See what you don't like. Don't just go into a mock draft and continually take the same guys every single time. Sure, they may be your best picks at that time, but what happens when you get to your real draft and those guys aren't available and you haven't done your homework on the other players? All of a sudden, you're grasping at straws as that timer starts to kick down. You panic, you make a bad pick, and all of a sudden your team absolutely sucks. So when you're mock drafting, mock draft with a purpose and try different scenarios just to see what you like and what you don't. Which will then take us to players just getting overly emotional, right? Maybe you've seen this in your league here as of late, but we've really noticed that there's a small group of people in the fantasy football space that seem super quick just to pitch a fit and try to start an argument over a game meant to be fun. I had a guy the other day, like a week or so ago on my wide receiver rankings video, want to start an absolute all-out brawl argument because he didn't understand why I had one player ranked where I did in April. Like, dude, we're 4 months away, 5 months away from drafting a team. Calm the F down. Remember, this is still a game meant to be fun. If you're out there getting overly emotional, if you're out there getting super pissed off, take a chill pill. All right, just relax here just a little bit. It's going to be okay. We're going to have fun with fantasy football here. Once again, it kind of feels like a lot of people are becoming more and more reliant on money from fantasy football. Like they need that championship because they got to win that money, or they've made some bets that they got to win those bets. And like they're overly reliant on it, and it's making them really stressed out and pissed off if they don't get what they want. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I'm kind of just spitballing things here, but whatever it is, there's a lot of people kind of getting a little emotional at times. Deep breath, woo-saw. It's all going to be good. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to have fun along the way. So don't get overly emotional. And then lastly, don't overthink it. I'm an analytics guy. I love numbers. If you've watched this channel for a long time, you know I love me some numbers. But I also love to watch film. That's where the game is played, on the field, and you can see a lot when watching the game on the field. But some of these advanced analytics out there are just plain stupid and pointless right now, and I'm seeing them all over the place. Some, expected points added after catch completions against man coverage on a cloudy day on the 7th day of the month. Like, stop. You don't need all that crap. You just need to keep it simple, stupid. You got to kiss it. You ever heard that statement? Just kiss it. Keep it simple, stupid, and you're going to be okay more times than not in fantasy football. That's kind of the approach that we take here, right? We're going to show you a lot of information. We're going to teach you where this information comes from, how to find it yourself, kind of what to look at, because we're not just trying to tell you what to do. We're trying to make you a better overall fantasy football player, because that is what it's all about. It really, allows you to see the results yourself. And mistakes are going to happen. It's a part of the game. Don't freak out. Learn from your mistakes, and do me a favor. Don't make these 10 mistakes this offseason, and I guarantee you become a better fantasy football player. If you haven't hit the like button already, please do so. Consider subscribing if you're looking for all that fantastic fantasy football content here this offseason, because we got you covered. But in the meantime, do your part to make the world a better place, and we'll talk to you later.